Recently, Healthy Markets Project USAID and Path Organization in Vietnam held the satellite session New HIV Testing Strategies for 1990 in Hanoi. Under the 6th National Scientific Conference on HIV/AIDS, the session attracted the participation of many representatives from local and foreign healthcare organizations. They discussed about the new strategies of HIV/AIDS prevention in Vietnam in the period of 2016 to 2020, of which community-based testing model is the outstanding one. The Vietnam's government has committed to the global 90-90-90 targets toward ending the HIV/AIDS epidemic by 2030. Although Vietnam has seen a reduction in new HIV infections over recent years, there is a concerning low and declining annual uptake of HIV testing among key population at high risk of transmission from 2011 to 2013. Therefore, the need for new testing models is very high to support targeted population in overcoming their complex. Also, this can be a solution for Vietnam to increase the frequency of HIV testing rate and reach the first 90 target of 90% infectious population know their situation.
Hello and welcome to Sharing Vietnam on VTC10 Netviet. Recently, Vietnam has set the target of 90-90-90 to end the HIV/AIDS epidemic across the country. So there's been a need for the new testing model for the community, which is more reliable, convenient, sustainable, and cost efficiency. So in the program today, we have a talk to Mrs. Kimberly Green, representative from the Path Organization in Vietnam, and she will share more about the new HIV/AIDS testing model in Vietnam. Thank you, Mrs. Kimberly Green, for joining our program today. So first of all, what do you think about the target of Vietnam, a very ambitious target of 90-90-90 to end the HIV/AIDS epidemic in Vietnam?
You know, the government of Vietnam has really done an excellent job of addressing HIV in Vietnam. In the last 10 years, the government has led a very strong response in HIV prevention among key populations, particularly female sex workers, people who inject drugs. This work has resulted in a decline in new infections. This is very important. We're very proud and very excited that the government of Vietnam has adopted the 90-90-90 strategy. We recognize it will be challenging with the shift in external donor support, but the only way to achieve the goal of eliminating HIV by 2030 is by applying the 90-90-90 goals.
Okay, so what are the difficulties for Vietnam to reach this target of 90-90-90, especially the first one?
The 90-90-90 goals were adopted within the context of donor funding declining. However, it's now time for the government to leverage resources through the public system and also through the private sector system to ensure that people who are living with HIV know they're HIV positive. Now, the challenge of the first 90 is to ensure those who are vulnerable have access to HIV testing. The previous approaches to HIV testing have focused more on public health facilities or HIV testing designated sites that are managed through the public health system. These are high quality services. The challenge is that some populations are not interested in coming to them, or they're in very remote areas. So it's very important to look at new strategies to ensure access to HIV testing among key populations.
Okay, so we can see that the difficulties and even the need for the new testing model to achieve the first goal. So what do you think about the community-based testing model?
You know, one of the challenges is that people don't necessarily want to or can come to a fixed HIV testing and counseling site. So the exciting promise of lay provider testing is that testing can be offered in the community where the people are. Now, lay provider testing is a very interesting model. It's where a non-healthcare worker, such as a peer educator or someone working for a local NGO or a village healthcare worker, where they're trained very carefully in how to provide information on HIV testing using a simple and inexpensive screening test. These individuals are also trained in counseling so that the person who's coming to them to be tested in a community setting, they know how to interpret the results.
So in your opinion, do you think that this testing model is safe and accurate? How is this testing model being implemented?
The WHO review of the evidence, they focus specifically on safety, accuracy, and acceptability. And what they found is that if a lay provider, this non-healthcare worker, is supported by healthcare workers and is part of a system of supervision, they can perform the test very, very well indeed. And this has been our experience thus far. The lay provider work has just started here, but we've been operating with an approach of engaging the commune health workers, the district health leaders, and also the PAC and PhD to ensure there's a system of supportive supervision in place.
The community-based testing model has currently been implemented by G3VN and G-Link groups in Ho Chi Minh City since November 2015. The advantages of this model are the information confidentiality and rapid results. Members of these groups will conduct tests at local residents for people in need. G3VN and G-Link have been making plans for guidelines of consulting and conducting community-based tests, as well as the step-by-step process to ensure the quality.
Xét nghiệm HIV ngoài cộng đồng thì do chính những người trong cộng đồng sẽ là người thực hiện, chính những người có kinh nghiệm làm việc về HIV trong cộng đồng thì họ sẽ thực hiện luôn cái việc xét nghiệm HIV cho cộng đồng. Xét nghiệm HIV ngoài cộng đồng nó sẽ rất là nhanh, gọn và thực hiện chính trong những cái nhóm nguy cơ có nguy cơ cao.
Cái mô hình này nó hoàn toàn mới tại Việt Nam và thành phố Hồ Chí Minh là một cái thành phố mà gọi là mô hình thí điểm đầu tiên, và G3VN là một cái tổ chức được thực hiện cái này đầu tiên, nên đây cũng là một cái rất là khó khăn cho bản thân mình, tại vì từ xưa đến giờ tất cả các nơi làm xét nghiệm là họ đều đến những cơ sở y tế, mà bây giờ là họ tập trung về đưa về cho tổ chức cộng đồng làm, thì G3 sẽ có những cái chiến lược giống như mình PR trên mạng xã hội để mình quảng bá bằng những cái hình ảnh mời gọi họ tham gia cái chiến lược mà xét nghiệm này, hoặc là chúng ta làm những cái việc mà xét nghiệm tại cộng đồng đến những cái dịch vụ cơ sở.
The Healthy Market Project has been supporting Vietnam administration of HIV/AIDS control to run pilot models of community-based tests. Recent market research showed that the risk population is very interested and willing to pay for HIV testing services in the community, including non-professional tests and self-tests. The community-based testing model have been integrated into the 2016-2020 strategy on HIV/AIDS prevention of the Vietnam administrations of HIV/AIDS control.
Để thực hiện được cái mục tiêu tham vọng này thì chúng tôi cần phải đa dạng hóa và sáng tạo tìm kiếm được những cái ca nhiễm mới, đặc biệt ở cái vùng núi, vùng sâu, vùng xa, nơi khó tiếp cận được với dịch vụ cố định. Thì bên cạnh các mô hình truyền thống thì chúng tôi đã giới thiệu những cái mô hình mới sáng tạo, ví dụ như là xét nghiệm HIV/AIDS lưu động kết hợp với tiếp cận cộng đồng một cách sáng tạo, hay là cái mô hình mới mà chúng ta cũng đã nói lên, đó là xét nghiệm HIV/AIDS không chuyên, có với những cái thông tin mà chúng tôi nhận được từ phía địa phương và thông qua những cái khóa đào tạo thì chúng tôi thấy rằng là cái mô hình này được chấp nhận một cách rất tích cực của tất cả các bên, của khách hàng, của những cái người mà làm xét nghiệm, của cái cơ quan y tế tại địa phương. Vì vậy mà tôi tin rằng cái mô hình này sẽ thành công.
The latest guideline of the World Health Organization warned countries to develop strategies to introduce community-based tests and self-tests. In 2015-2016, HIV rapid testing services in the community will be provided for free. This is one of the most effective measures to reduce the rate of HIV infections in society, aiming to end the HIV/AIDS in Vietnam.
Coming back to our talk, in your opinion, what are the opportunities of this testing model to solve the self-testing in the local areas?
The exciting thing about lay provider testing, and also about another option, which is self-testing. So self-testing is where an individual can procure a rapid HIV test, which is also a screening test, from a community-based organization or from a healthcare worker or possibly in the future from a pharmacy. They can test themselves, by themselves in private, for individuals who are in a remote area or who are worried about coming in for HIV testing at a public facility or even a private facility. It will result in a dramatic increase in case detection and help to lead to achieving 90% of people in Vietnam knowing their HIV status by 2020.
Right. So do you think that this testing model will help Vietnam to reach the target of 90-90-90?
Yes, I think it's a very important strategy to reaching 90-90-90. The first hurdle and the first challenge is really in the case detection, is identifying 90% of people living with HIV. Recent data that's been presented by the government has shown over the last couple of years there's been a decline in the proportion of key populations that are testing each year. And so we really need to find new strategies to bring testing to people in the community. So offering the test in the community from a non-healthcare worker or providing a rapid test that someone can use to test themselves really opens up access to HIV testing.
So how does Vietnam make sure that this new testing model is sustainable and available for the Vietnamese people once the donor funding from outside is end?
I think there are 3 key points to sustainability. The first is that lay provider testing and self-testing provide a way of reducing the burden on the health system. Because if you're able to offer an inexpensive, rapid test and only identify those that are reactive, those individuals are then referred into the health system where it's more expensive because there are more tests that are required to diagnose. The second is that it's important to work with the private sector because there are people who are willing and who would prefer to go to the private sector for HIV testing. They're willing to pay for it themselves out of convenience, out of preference, for many different reasons. And we're finding from the research we've conducted that there are populations that do prefer private sector testing. And the third is ensuring supply of the rapid diagnostic tests. These tests are critical. They're essential for the HIV testing program. They all need to be registered officially within Vietnam so that they're available over the long term.
So last but not least, do you have any recommendations for Vietnamese people to apply this new testing model and encourage the self-testing model in local areas?
I think that there are 2 key pieces here. The first is we're conducting a pilot. The USAID PATH Healthy Markets project is piloting this approach together with the VAC and the Ministry of Health. And we all want the pilot to run relatively over a relatively short period of time, so that if the evidence proves that this is a successful strategy, we can rapidly scale it up and make non-healthcare worker testing and self-testing available to a broader population. Number 1, that's very important. Number 2 is demand generation, is making sure that populations know these services are available and know where to go so they can access them. So I think if we're able to do both, then a much greater proportion of individuals will be able to access testing.
Thank you, Mrs. Kimberly Green, for joining our program today. And that is also the end of our program Sharing Vietnam. In our program today, we have given you information regarding to the community-based testing model, a new testing model for the local areas, especially at the rural areas. So it's very important to have a new testing model which is sustainable and achievable to people, and especially for Vietnam to reach the goal of 90-90-90 in the future. For comments and feedbacks, please send it to sharingvietnam@netviet.tv.net. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again tomorrow.